So I'm going to turn my joints on, and the big thing that I really care about with the joints is that they are very, very delicate. So I mentioned earlier that they are rotation points and that you only ever want to rotate them. They also contain all of your skin binding information, which you just spent a lot of time on. And in fact, as I'm going through and resetting all of my joints, this reminds me that this is a really, really good time to save my file because I haven't done that in quite some time. So let's save scene as, and this is, let's call this one box rig weight paint because that's what I just did. So joints are really delicate. They contain all of your weight painting information, which is a bear to redo. They are rotate only, and they also contain their local rotation axis and maintain a relative distance from each other. So they do a lot of really delicate things. And of course, as a rigger, you would think that animators would be taught to handle joints with respect, but animators just want to break stuff because that's what makes animation fun. When you break stuff, the animation gets to be more fun. So, as a rigger, what I want to do is I want to put controls in place so that the animators can break all of the things in like a more reliable, less chaotic way. So I don't want anybody to handle my delicate, sensitive joint information. And the modeler probably also doesn't want anybody to handle the geometry. So I'm going to lock and hide the geometry. I'm going to leave the skeleton on for a little bit, and what we're going to do next is we're going to make a series of controls. Now, because we're beginning riggers and because this is a little aperitif, we're going to make the easiest kind of controls possible. We're just going to use a whole bunch of NURBS circles because they're really easy to make. If I turn the box off, you can see it's just a circle. It's just a circle. So I'm going to take this circle. I am going to hold down my V key and snap it over to one of the joints. And then I'm just going to rotate it. This one looks like it's going to be a 90 degrees X. And now it's kind of facing in the direction that joint would rotate. Like it'll rotate that way. So that looks good. Let's take this. Let's rename it. This looks like the south. So we'll call this one South Side CTL for control. And then I'm going to Control D to duplicate and move my duplicate up to there. I'm using the V key to snap. Snap will let me snap to the joints. And let's call this, boy, I spelled south incorrectly. Let's call this one my south flap control. And let's go back and spell south correctly here. Okay, all good. Now, these two circles have nothing to do with each other at present. So I'm going to take the flap and I'm going to make it a child of the side. And that's just going to be a middle mouse drag and drop for me. You can also select the child first, the parent second, and press P. And now I can Control D and let's hold down V and move these over here. Just make sure that they're both snapped. Wow, I made two of those. That's no good. I only want one. Now I can go to my Modify menu and do a search and replace names. We're going to search for South and replace with North. Let's spell North correctly. And because we are always sticklers for detail, we will get rid of that number 1. And then let's just, again, Control D to duplicate. We'll pop these over here. I'm going to rotate them another 90 degrees. This one looks like an X, so that they're facing the right way for this. And now we'll do a search and replace names. This is the west side. So we'll search for north, replace with west. Oop. Let's make sure we're doing all the joints. Okay, good, good. I knew I would get that eventually. And one last one. Control D to duplicate. V-snap that on over here. Search for west and replace with east. Capitalization does matter. Okay, good, good-o. I need one more control, so I'm going to make another nerve circle. This one's going to be for the root joint, and I'm going to scale this one up pretty big. Let me turn my box on, and I want to be able to see this. Just kind of want it to be about the same size as the box, and that's going to help my animator figure out how to line things up. It's good. Let's turn that off. This one's going to be my root control. Let's call it box root control. That'll be fun. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my different sides and I'm going to make them each a child of the root. Now you'll note that I've been closing them up to do that. That just makes it a little easier for me to see. And it also makes it a little bit easier for me to ensure that the curves are kept together. So ideally, when I open this up, it'll look like this. So the box is the parent of north, south, east, and west, and then each one of them has their own child. So go ahead, take some time and try to get your controls to look as much like mine as possible. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the next video and talk about the next step.